Good evening.
Hi.
And it is a fantastic night. What is it, Tuesday or Wednesday?
It's Tuesday.
Okay, this week's flying by. We have a champion in a major sport tonight. We say goodbye to hockey. We have a weird situation with the Phillies today and Nick Castellanos.
Yeah, so we'll get into that.
Yep.
And also, that was not speaking of unwell games, that was
you didn't
nasty
cry,
as
though.
well. No. But, okay, so Cassie did not get nasty. Thank you for that, Paul. Or maybe he did, because that's why he was benched. He got a little too nasty with Topper.
Yep.
Yeah, so we have to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. Edmonton lost, so you know what that means tomorrow.
I'm sorry, you were saying?
You got an Uncle Sam suit for me, brother?
I'm sorry, what?
Oh, okay.
The cup stays in the United States, everybody.
Anywho.
You know how hard I had to look for these in our prop closet?
I bet.
It should be more readily available. Look at dust falling off these things. Come on.
Oh, that's kind of gross, actually. But, okay, while Jason's doing that, you know what? We're also going to talk about crying in sports, which I might cry by the end of the night, and Edmonton's not even my team. There's the number. There's the upload link. You can send a selfie-style video.
Connor McDavid's like the invisible man.
Dude, I'm so mad at him. We'll get into that in a little bit. We'll be right back.
Out to center, hit well. Rojas going back, and it is going to be long gone. Sanchez knew it. He was sitting and gazing at pitch hit home run. Now 6-3 Marlins.
Yeah, not a great night. Hey, Kyle.
Kyle Fisher joins us.
Yeah.
How are we?
Well, it could be better. I mean, with the Phils, you were talking about how the Marlins always do weird things against the Phils. This is one of those nights where the Marlins just, they get a game. Luzardo, he had coming off 10 strikeouts against the Cubs. I had high hopes for him, pun intended, and he just couldn't quite deliver. And the offense kind of fell asleep too.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, the offense, that's going to happen from time to time. Overall, they've been pretty hot recently, I would say. Luzardo, it's a little disappointing to see that. We're going to have to see how he reacts, right? After those two really rough outings, the nice bounce back against the Cubs was a really nice thing to see from him. Just didn't have it tonight. Over 100 pitches, under 60 strikes, not what you want to see from a guy who's trying to prove that he's back for real.
Yeah, absolutely not. This was just a doozy of a game. And maybe I chalk it up to what I was talking about last night or the night before, whenever that was, about just we're due for a weird one when it's Miami. And for some reason, this always seems to happen when there's a series. We'll see how they respond tomorrow, and I think that's the most important thing.
And we're
the most
looking
telling
at
thing.
4 walks here by Luzardo. And the stuff was there, the velocity was there. Maybe the command was off a little bit. He's home. Maybe he's pressing a little bit to try to perform for the family and that sort of thing. So I'm not worried about him as much.
I don't really think. I mean. I didn't really think about that.
Well,
you don't think about that because they're always so machine-like.
Yeah, right.
That.
The pressure of playing in that very difficult stadium of Miami.
It's so noisy there.
Can you believe?
Two people,
I can't believe how unattended. I mean, they're not a good team, and it's just wow. But wow,
they're not a good team for how long, and yet they have just as many World Series as the Phillies. So.
Yeah,
2.
Yeah.
One thing that's interesting that you mentioned about the Marlins is, I think over in the Bryce Harper era, I tried to find kind of a cutoff for it. Their overall winning percentage is like 440, something in that range, but they have a winning record against the Phillies in that same
this is what I mean.
Period.
It's
despite
weird.
the Phillies being a very good team
Yeah.
during that era. So
it's just a
the
weird...
Marlins happen to just play the Phillies really well.
Thank you for that. You know what? I feel validated now. I agree. It's always just a weirdo series. I'm not too worried. Like I said, I want to see how they respond.
Bigger than today's loss is the Castellanos development.
Absolutely.
He was benched after how many in a row?
206.
36, yes.
And
236.
I hate that for everyone. But this is the first disciplinarian move by Rob Thompson, if I can remember, since he's become manager.
For sure. That is definitely the thing that stood out the most to me. It wasn't just that he ended this streak. He chose to do it with a guy who's been Mr. Consistency. I mean, they didn't sit him when he was hitting 117 in April last season. They didn't sit him when he was hitting 180 into June last season. He kept the course. Whatever he said, either it was the wrong thing, or from what I'm hearing, not an official report, but what I'm hearing from some folks is that it was more the time and the place of the comment than it was the comment itself.
Yeah.
Topper's big on, like, look, I'm an open door, but if you have something to say to me, say it to me. And my guess is, again, this is not confirmed, not a report, but my guess is that Casty said it in front of too many people, and he was like, look, man, time to make an example. Let's do it.
I think that's fair. And you know what? Like, it's not, I think people are also blowing this up into something bigger than what it is, right? It's a game. He's not fined. He's not suspended. They're not trading him. This is not something that's catastrophic. It's just, hey, you can't be cutting up here and you can't be out here making comments like that in whatever capacity it was made. So Castellanos said that he understands the decision, wasn't happy about getting taken out, and he made a comment. This is the consequence. It's the manager's decision. I mean, it kind of is what it is basically what he was saying. So hopefully, like I said, the Phillies can move past this loss, but Topper and Castellanos can move past whatever occurred. And it sounded to me when Rob Thompson was talking that he very much was already over it. He just had kind of made a decision and put his foot down.
I hate it for Castellanos, just as far as the streak meant something to him.
Well, don't be a dummy.
No,
then.
I'm not saying he shouldn't have been benched. I'm just saying, like, dang, 236 straight. It was the second longest active streak. Matt Olson has a longer one, but longest by Philly since Pete Rose, and that was 350 games. That's like 3 eras ago, and so you just don't see this kind of consecutive games played streak. And for just a heat of the moment comment, you know what makes me mad? I really want to know what he said. I really want to know. I want to know what Topper's like threshold is. Like, okay, I won't accept that, but was it you effing this, or was it like? What was it? Was there a curse word involved? Was it you, or was it the team, or was it like? We'll never know.
Yeah.
The nosy neighbor in me is dying.
I know. I know.
I just need to know.
All right, let's go to the fan cam.
It's a really good decision by Rob Thompson because Cassie, it's like, don't say something and not expect to get anything in return. You know what I mean? So this prevents the rest of the team saying things that they shouldn't.
This man will never win a World Series. Why do you ask? Because Rob Thompson doesn't know how to manage properly. Taking Castellanos out of the lineup tonight for the first time in forever is a bad move.
Wow.
Michael, that was crazy.
He's loving Florida.
He really
He's
is.
in Orlando.
Ukulele. We got a ukulele fan cam today. That rocks.
Mets and Braves played tonight, so a little NL East action.
Yeah,
so,
how about that?
Yeah.
That comeback was crazy.
How about it? Marcell Ozuna down the line. Mets have been in a slide, and I guess I'm rooting for the Braves.
Did you say down the line or DUI?
I said too soon.
Anyway.
Holy crap! What a catch!
But you're right. A few losses for them, and now they have a couple injuries in that dominant pitching staff. We'll see if some of these other guys can hold up while Senga works on his return. Who else was it? They're still waiting for a couple guys. Basically, Drew Peterson's like the only guy in Clay Holmes holding them down at the moment.
So this guy was ready to just. If Phillies are out of it, it's over. Last Monday?
And well, after getting swept by the Pirates, I was done. I was done.
And now the tune has changed completely.
Well, I mean,
Kyle.
listen, they lost no ground. They're still 2 games out in the NL East, and they got a nice series with the Mets coming up. You got to hope the Mets keep losing. Phils win the next 2.
Yeah.
And go into that series kind of hot and cold.
I think that's really. Like a very reasonable ask, don't you? Like,
yeah. Well, it's going to depend
Mets our
on
daddy.
I don't think we can't go that far just yet. I think that it's going to come down to who's ready and healthy for them on the pitching staff end, and can these guys get a little galvanized from this, whatever this discipline is from Castellanos?
Yeah. All right. Well, oh God.
Go ahead, tease to break. I wanted the cup to stay in the United States, and Daddy got his wish.
Canada hasn't seen a cup since I was like 1 year old, and
you were born in '92.
That way,
you youngin'.
Yeah.
Man.
Thank you for that, because I'm called old on Twitter all the time.
Not on the,
there's
not
a number. There's the upload link.
The Florida Panthers win their second consecutive Stanley Cup.
That's my wife, and the kids are just excited they got to stay up late.
Congratulations.
She's from South Florida, and they're
nice.
two straight.
No, I am happy for her.
Oh, thank you. And I'm happy for me.
She's a nice lady. I'm just.
So, Kyle, we had this bet. I made a comment like I wanted the Cup to stay in the United States, and she's like, "You're an idiot." And she was rooting for Connor McDavid,
who had one goal this entire
Cup
series.
Yeah,
that is egregious. I'm sorry. Can I just for a second?
Go.
This man was dubbed the next one. So obviously when Sidney Crosby was drafted, he was dubbed the next one, which I believe he rightfully has earned. That man has won every single hardware that you possibly can in the hockey world, sometimes multiple times over. Connor McDavid was dubbed to be the next Sidney Crosby, and what has he done truly to show for it? Like, you show up in a Stanley Cup Final and you have one goal the entire series? Shame on you. Yeah. And you're not fit to have that title. I'm sorry, you're not the generational talent people think you are.
Wow, I can't argue. I mean, one
because you
goal
can't show up in
Cup.
clutch moments. You're not a generational talent if you're not showing up like that.
What do you think?
I agree. It's tough to be considered one of the greats if you don't show up in the biggest moments.
You know who did? Sam Reiner, 4 goals tonight.
What a goal that was too.
He's insane.
Yeah,
Good for him.
That team is so deep.
Well, I think it's because of where they play, right? Florida, deep down in Florida, it's not really a hockey, huge mecca of an area or team or franchise, but I do think we underappreciate the grit of this team.
Oh yeah.
I'll probably be back next year. I mean, at least they'll be in the conversation.
100%.
Edmonton. Imagine going twice and losing to the same team 2 years in a row. Man, I'm trying to think, has that happened in recent history in any sport?
That's I don't.
We'll have to go back and look
That
here.
I'm not
That's
sure.
crazy. But also
But you talk about Florida not being a mecca for hockey. The last back-to-back champions were the Tampa Bay Lightning in 2020 and 2021.
And that's what I mean. Imagine being a fan in Edmonton. You have nothing going on. No offense to anyone who somehow might be streaming from Alberta, right? But you have nothing going on. And that's your bread and butter. That's everything.
That
you can't just roll over and be like, all right, well, I guess there's just baseball.
Well, that's what we do in Philly.
Football
Luckily,
season around the corner. This is it.
Man, that's tough. I do feel for that because we are lucky enough to be able to pivot from one heartbreak to the next, or in this case, we're just going to ride the wave of the Eagles. But can you imagine if all we had was the Phils and they lost to the Mets the way they did last year and. We just have to wait till next year. There's no other sport. I mean, there's probably Canadian football there.
Yeah, I think they have a CFL team,
but it's
maybe a major junior team. But
for sure.
Really,
they care about that. We don't. But that's huge.
That's what I mean. It's that's what you have to work with is CFL and a major junior team.
Obviously you always look to who gets the cup first, and obviously Barkov, the captain, got it, and then he handed it to the youngins who were not there last year. They were the first to handle it,
which is cool.
Yeah, not Brad Marchand or some of the veterans, Matthew Tkachuk. They were the last ones to hoist it. So.
They've had that moment before.
Classy, yeah.
They have.
It's nice to.
How does it feel that Bobrovsky 2 years in a row?
I know. He's such a lovable dude, and he shows up in these big man. Where would the Flyers be with him right now?
Probably in the same spot. Let's be honest, because they've just made move after move that just.
Obviously, they had some down years, but anytime they've been good, the feeling, at least for the majority of my life, has been they're a goalie away. And here this guy is who was in their organization who's won, 3 cups now?
Because he was here, obviously.
Yeah, and he was part of the...
Would he have been on this? That's what I'm saying.
Not in the window that they thought they had, right? That's why they moved him. They moved him for a veteran. They didn't feel like they had the time for him to develop. But he developed into exactly what they thought he was going to be.
One other stat for this game. It went 6, and it seemed like a closer series. There were 3 overtimes, but... The Oilers only had the lead after a period one period for 6 games plus overtimes. It was a shellacking by the Panthers. So now they plan the parade. Sam Reinhart.
Yeah.
He's the one you like, isn't he?
I do. Yeah, I saw him get drafted. He was drafted here in Philadelphia in 2014. He was the second overall pick to Buffalo.
Oh, okay.
And I worked with him in Buffalo for a little bit too with the Sabres. So
we'll talk more about this tomorrow
yeah.
night, but now she's got to sing the national anthem, and we're picking out her costume right now.
Yeah. Oh, you are on Google looking at Uncle Sam costumes. Okay, great. Awesome. On that note, let's take a time out and let's talk about crying in sports.
Oh.
Perfect transition.
I got a good reaction for you for the Eagles losing, or at least being down score. I threw a 24-ounce can of beer at a Patriots fan. I have also taken my hat off and thrown it at a TV, a 55-inch smart TV. Little cap on the top of the hat hit the TV screen and just a line right down the middle of the screen.
Oh man!
What are the odds?
You know, well, we've seen videos of people ruining TVs, right? Just
Yeah.
You know, I think that
I don't do all that, but I have crashed out over a game. So we asked you because we were talking about this last night with Jamie Apodi. Do you get emotional over sports, and do you cry?
Not just emotional, but actually cry.
Like as a fan, or like lash out. Kyle, you said during the break, you're kind of in between.
Yeah, when I was younger, I got pretty emotional about things. It was more about big moments than it was individual losses. But like my personal losses in sports, even though I was no great athlete, that's the ones I would beat myself up and make a scene, and it was bad news for everybody.
Breland, you're first here on when you cried.
Oh yeah. So I cry. First of all, I want to preface by saying I cried every time that Temple lost in the tournament.
That's fair.
Which is hilarious because they don't even make the tournament anymore. But this is the game that I actually crashed out. Do you remember this, Kyle?
Yes.
Temple, Penn State, or Temple, Notre Dame. So Temple had beaten Penn State earlier this year. They were nationally ranked. They were 7-0. College game day was here in town, and they played Notre Dame on Halloween of the 2015 season. I was so stinking excited. And
they tied it up right there.
Yeah,
that's cool.
And it just...
And they took the lead. I see that because I wasn't here.
Oh, so you weren't... Oh,
now
so
I'm living it right
here.
now. Let's
was
see.
it 2015 or fall of 2014? It actually was fall of 2014.
Yeah. Were you
I had just graduated.
Oh.
I was in the stands dressed as my friend and I went as Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy because it was Halloween. So I'm in costume. And like it's so close. And then right there, I threw my phone. So I'm sorry, Mom.
Like how? Actually, you did
like
to your
it was one of those things I was like... And just
straight
like
down?
straight, yep, and it pew all over. That was before we had these like nifty little screen protectors, and I cried then. So there was that.
I think I've done that like my phone like a frisbee when I was mad at a game.
I don't really cry as much as an adult.
Yeah, no. I'm gonna go in 2009. I was still in LA and a huge Dodger fan. Well, they lost to a team called the Philadelphia Phillies in the NLCS that year.
I was there.
Were you there?
It was rare. You were there.
This swing off Jonathan Broxton that put the ball in the gap that gave them the lead and then the winning run in the game. The Dodgers were 1 out away from winning.
I promise this story won't take long.
Well, okay.
I was in section 425, 426, and the ball's in the air and everybody is holding their breath. Except for me and like 4 other people, because we can see from the angle we have that it's definitely falling, and we are losing our minds as soon as it goes off the bat. So the worst
day of Jason's life was one of the best
one of the most euphoric moments of my life.
Look how Philadelphia has changed me. Philly has changed me to the point where I would be jumping up and down if that happened now in reverse.
Good.
So I'm a changed man, Philadelphia. I
See,
just thought you'd get it.
You're rehab.
Yeah, how about that?
Yeah, I can confidently say it. Well, not confidently. I have cried a couple.
For me, it was the 2011 Phillies. They 102 wins, franchise record. They look unbeatable going in. I was a little upset already because I didn't want the Cardinals to win. They were the best. They were the hottest team in September. 18-8 record going in. That is what made me cry, because you go from 102 wins and the middle of your order goes down, and you knew right away it wasn't good. Right?
Yeah,
he couldn't even make it down the baseline. Couldn't bust it down. Tears his Achilles. He's not going to start the next year.
Yeah.
Let alone everything else that happened with Roy, and it was a downhill quick, after that when you thought that they were the best team in baseball.
Insult to
and
injury.
that this was going to be the continuation
He wasn't
of a run,
ever the same after that, was
Nope.
he? Yeah.
He had some power, but it was
Oh,
never
wow,
the
thanks for just showing Pilato with the Stanley Cup just to rub it in and see if I'll cry again. But joke's on you, Edmonton's not actually my team. I just, I had to pick a side.
Yeah.
But there's no tears.
No.
There might be tears from everybody else when I have to sing the national anthem, but
You should see the goatee she's going to be wearing.
Yeah,
this, so
Jason is
we'll looking everything
up. But all right,
the go vote.
Go vote,
yeah,
guys.
let's take a
We
look
asked you at home.
Have you ever cried over a team or a player's loss as a fan?
I think 53% of you guys lie.
I think there's a large percentage of the 53
you guys are lying. I'm
Especially
not going to lie.
kids, at some point as a kid,
Yeah, there's no way
have.
that you guys aren't lying.
How about, have you ever cried, Eric, over a game, even as a kid? Nope, he's saying no. He's in the 53%.
I think that's
You know what? Philadelphians are tough.
Tampa
Bay at the
changed my paradigm.
you didn't cry.
You guys hear that?
Tampa Bay game, last game at the Vet. Was that the interception, the Rondé Barber interception? I'm not sure, but Jared Jaravich's catch. Okay.
Yes. So I guess we're just the only ones who are just emo over here.
Yeah, right.
I don't know. Kyle, it's always so much fun.
That was fun.
Yeah.
Great to see you guys again.
Yeah. You have to come back during football when you're not busy and whatnot, but also you do baseball too. So you can just be popping in this whole summer.
Yep.
Guys, we're going to be right back. There's your number. There's your upload link. Welcome back. We are in the end zone.
Yeah. I'm always bummed when a sport ends. One less thing for us to kind of keep an eye on and root for and watch.
Yeah. NASCAR's at the Pocono
that's
Raceway
cool.
this weekend.
I know. We had Ricky Stenhouse Jr. on last week, and you were out that day.
So that was fun, and you got soccer. Maybe we should both get into soccer a little bit more.
Yes.
We definitely have to.
I don't know if you heard, but it's right here in Philly.
See ya.